All right, culture. What's going on in the culture? Obviously, people are still making heads or tails of the assassination of the far right influencer last week, and we're getting a lot of opinions. We're getting a lot of takes, and we're getting a lot of coverage. In fact, I haven't been able to independently verify this, but I saw that the person that was the alleged shooter actually turned himself in, which feels like it might be true based on what I was reading, but I haven't independently verified this. I want to make sure that that's stated clearly. But it'd be so weird if everyone's trying to take credit for it, like they arrested him or something. But in any event,
That wouldn't be weird at all. Actually, it'd be
on
right
brand,
on
right?
brand.
Yeah, yeah. But in any event, Q actually came across a think piece from a dear friend of ours and a sometimes guest on our program, Joy Ann Reid, and she's talking about how the right is still angry. Indeed, I think that she's suggesting that this is kind of the state of being for these people. And, I don't know if this is their natural state of being, and I don't know if they've been kind of whipped into this frenzy and the powers that be see that it works, so they keep them remained in this perpetual state of anger and frustration and confusion. But this feels like an interesting take. And so I wanted to share it with you, our listener, and Q and I are going to have some conversation about it and see, sort of where we land on it. So I will share. Again, this is from Joy Ann Reid. The right is angry. They're always angry. They've been angry since anyone can remember. They were angry when the Union won the Civil War and they had to give up their slaves. They were angry when Reconstruction gave their former slaves the right to vote. They were angry when black soldiers came home from World War I and World War II and insisted on being treated with dignity, having fought for their country. They were angry about jazz music becoming more popular, and then about rock and roll. They were angry when black children tried to integrate schools. The whole history of the American right, whether they called themselves Democrats, Dixiecrats, or Republicans, is a history of rage. And even having, quote, taken back their country, unquote, by putting Donald Trump back in the White House and unleashing Project 2025 on all of us, deleting affirmative action, DEI, black history, black scholarships, black held jobs in the federal government, having driven women out of the military leadership and ended everything from farm subsidies to foreign aid, while getting away with an actual insurrection scot-free. They're somehow still angry. And because Q and I work in this space, and I'll speak for you, Q, we know that this is an exceptionally short list. Exceptionally short list of things that these people find a way to be outraged about. Somehow everything is attack on them. Everything is an attack on their values. Somehow everything is an attack on their fiscal interests. Somehow doing anything that helps anybody that's not them is too much. But, bailing out corporations and all this sort of stuff. Hey, we have to remain what it's so strange how the justifications for the moves that they're made are often fueled by anger. And I think that for a long time, I kind of suspected that it was true. Then I started to kind of work in this space and see that it was true consistently. And now to see Joy kind of put it on full display, like, okay, here we are on the other side of Trump's election, on the other side of the better half of Project 2025. And these folks are like, it's Civil War time. They're calling in bomb threats to HBCUs. On and on and on. Just angry. It's kind of a moment where, I think a sobering moment where we recognize that there is, oh, there may not be, I should say, I don't want to speak in absolutes because these are people and these are our countrymen, for better or worse, but there may not be a version of reality for folks on the right and the far right that really feels like happiness. It just is something that is constantly elusive to them because they've already won in the biggest possible way, and yet and still, and I know what you're going to say, so that's why I'm leaving it open-ended right that, but and yet and still they find a way to be angry. Q, what say ye?
So the interesting thing is that list and any list that we could make would still at least make sense until that last bullet point, right?
Which one?
Enslaving people was horrific.
Okay, go ahead.
But something was being taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're not trying to discuss whether or not they're bad people. We're just talking about how insatiable their anger is.
There you go. Okay.
So they were being bad people, but something was being taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like I said, you steal the country from people and then you make stealing illegal. So then when they try to steal it back, you arrest them and take them to jail. And that's kind of been the rinse and repeat throughout history. So all those bullet points, right, giving rights to Black people, well, we consider those people not people. We consider them property. So you're giving them rights in this zero-sum game that is our country, then you're taking something from me. So again, bad people, but they could feel justified in their slight when when space was actually being made for other people. Mm-hmm. The last bullet point is the one that gets me. They won. And they won the championship. Like they won everything. All three branches of government, the military, law enforcement, television, radio, print, corporate America, like they won everything.
Everybody bows. Yeah.
It's hard for us to buy groceries now because wait, is that store that we used to get it's hard for DEI. To know what's happening in the country because that channel I used to get my news from, did they
fired a guy for saying the truth? Yeah.
It's hard for us to drive to and from work now because if you get pulled over, you might, no matter where you're from, no matter where you were born, and no matter the status of your immigration paperwork, be that citizen, resident, card holder, or someone in the process of becoming either or, you might get kidnapped, beat up, unalived, deported, sexually assaulted, amongst other things, and nothing can happen. Like they won everything that you can win in the most aggressive and brute force way possible. It's getting more aggressive and more brute force by the day, and they are still finding a way to still be mad, to still feel slighted, to still feel like something's being taken away from them. They own everything. Like we got a couple, I think Chris Rock said we got a couple liquor brands and like some headphones. And we got a pieces of a couple of sports teams. Outside of that, they own everything. They won. They won. The clock ran out. The movie went off. The credits rolled. There was no post-credit scene where the superhero came back in and saved the day. No, they won everything, everywhere, and they're still mad. It's an insatiable anger fueled by hate. And because other people will always exist, they'll always be mad.
That's what I knew you were going to say. I knew you were going to say that. I wanted you to say it because I know it's the most obvious thing. It's just as long as there are other human beings breathing up all of their air with their wide noses, to quote Clayton Bigsby, and I know that this is partly in jest, but it really does feel that way, man. We're like, even for people that think we're being, hyperbolic or we're exaggerating or anything like that, I implore you to tune into the rest of the show because you're going to hear us make these points from just today and yesterday's news. That's it.